What's up guys, and welcome to the 2023 Honda Civic Si. Now I did review a bone stock example a while back, but the one thing that was really lacking for me with that car was number one, the power output at a measly 200 horsepower, and number two, the insane amount of rev hang. Now the owner Chris has modified this car quite a bit for track use. It's also his daily driver, but I want to see if what he's done has actually gotten rid of those two pretty glaring weaknesses of this generation SI. So we're still powered by the 1.5 liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder engine, but Chris has full bolt-ons and a tune. As always, I'll put the mod list in the video description. We have a 27.1 downpipe and front pipe, PRL intercooler, PRL high volume intake, and a PRL flex fuel kit on E30. He also has an RV6 retrofit Type R clutch, hybrid racing short shifter, Titan 7 TS5 wheels with Kumho V730s all around, upgraded Brembo brakes, and for suspension, we're on the stock fixed dampers with Swift lowering springs. Now, Chris mentioned that on pump gas, this is making actually around 230 to 250 wheel horsepower. With the extra power and with the KTuner, does this car now feel like a cohesive performance car? Let's find out. Now, surprisingly, we're on stock exhaust, but the aftermarket front pipe and downpipe really open up the sound quite a bit. All right, we'll put it into sport mode. First thing I'm noticing is this shifter. Hybrid racing short shifter, much higher effort than stock, but very mechanical in short throws. All right, that's way more power than stock. I can confirm. Yeah, 230 plus wheel horsepower sounds about right. This is a 2,900 pound car, so pretty lightweight. In fact, it's 300 pounds lighter than my Integra Type S or the new Civic Type R. We do have auto rev match turned on right now. This car is so comfortable. It's just as comfortable as my Integra. This suspension, the fixed OEM dampers with just some Swift lowering springs, still has plenty of compliance. It gives the car a nice stance visually. There's still a ton of rev hang though. Wow. You really can't speed shift this properly unless you have no mechanical sympathy for that clutch. Look at that. Listen to that rev hang, you can hear it. Really good brake feel from these Brembos. Kumho V730 tires, my favorite budget track tire. Oh yeah, plenty of grip in the corners. This is honestly such a good car. For the money, if only it didn't have that nasty rev hang. But I will say, with these bolt-ons and the tune, the amount of actual power now feels perfect. It's not as powerful as the 2-liter engine in the Civic Type R and the Integra Type S, but for a 2,900 pound car, this feels like an adequate amount of power now. This car really does feel like a complete package. It's a car you truly can drive every single day in comfort, have plenty of space in the back. Just really bummed out by that rev hang. I'd love to know if there's a way to get rid of this in the aftermarket. I mean, look at that front end. So grippy, so responsive. And even though this is electric power steering, that has reasonable feedback. It is a little bit artificially heavy in sport mode, but the actual on-center feel, very little slop, immediate turn-in, considering this is stock with just lowering springs. And the refinement of this generation Civic, I mean, the interior doesn't feel that much cheaper than my Integra Type S. Some of the materials obviously aren't as good, but the overall design, the look and feel, the knobs, they're the same. Fourth gear, plenty of power. All right, we're getting some vibration in that brake pedal now. It might have a warped rotor. Not surprising for a track car. I mean, you figure a Civic Si MSRP just under $30,000, throw in a few $1,000s of mods. Personally, I might even just keep the suspension stock. Maybe the brakes you could get away with just pads and fluid. Mostly, you just need the extra power. So with bolt-ons and a tune, some upgraded cooling, it really does solve 50%, I would say, of this car's major weakness. The other 50% being, of course, that pesky rev hang. The Type R and Type S engine, that 2-liter, not only does it make more power, but it has much better response as well. The way it pulls to the red line, it doesn't die off nearly as much at the top end, and the actual throttle response as well is much sharper. But of course, there is the question of reliability. When you're pushing out 250 at the wheels, or more if you run E85, how much boost can this little 1.5 liter take over a long period of time? I think it remains to be seen how durable these motors are when tuned in the long run, so that's definitely something to keep an eye on. Things I love about this Civic Si: the hybrid racing short shifter improves something that never needed to be improved. The stock 6-speed manual of this car was already one of the highlights of the car. This hybrid racing just takes it to the next level by giving it a much firmer action, as well as shortening the shift throws. Another thing I love is the suspension. Stock dampers, swift springs, feels really nice and compliant, while also giving us plenty of control in the corners. Unfortunately, the weak part of this car still is the engine. By throwing these mods on it, it's not going to feel like a Civic Type R engine. That 2-liter really is something special. The way it pulls to redline, the response, it's all there. It still has plenty of low-end torque as well. And it looks like this little 1.5 liter needs a lot more work, a lot more modification to feel even remotely on the same level. But that being said, guys, let me know what you think about this generation Civic Si. Are there ways to get rid of that pesky rev hang? In fact, I would even give up some of the horsepower that Chris has on this particular car just to get rid of that rev hang. If that one thing can be solved, this is one of the best sub $30,000 cars you can buy right now. Brand new, that is. So big shout out to Chris once again. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.